What's up, guys? Brandon Lewis with the 10Con Big 7 Weekend Update. We've got news. Will of the people denied. Rick Scott loses bid for Senate Majority Leader, but I do think there are some bright spots to take away from this, especially in Tennessee. Violent gang of illegal aliens reemerges in Tennessee. Who'd have thought it? Tennessee state senator calls out liberal judge for unleashing dangerous criminals on the public. We're also going to talk about Clarksville. School employees watched while a middle school student was choked on a bus by a high schooler. I can remember those days. It made the bus rides very fun and entertaining. Foreign investors object, of course they do, to state law forbidding their ownership of land in Tennessee. Initiative permanently banning Tennessee statewide property tax anticipated for upcoming session. And finally, Dirty Pop dance group reappears in another Tennessee school under a different name. Wow. Oh, here's another one. We're just going to do this as a bonus. Conservative Tennesseans believe GOP leadership has worsened illegal immigration, but paid poll service created skewed results. I'll talk about that at the end. Guys, if you are not on our newsletter list, you're missing a lot of this. Do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, hit that subscribe button. Or you can text the word news, N-E-W-S, to 423-205-5600. And please do follow us on Gab, Getter, Truth, MeWe, and Rumble. Listen, for those of you who have not seen it yet, I did a breakdown of Bill Lee's school choice bill. You can go on our website or go on Twitter. I think as of right now, it is pinned at the top. And watch that puppy. It's also on a podcast if you go one episode back. So you need to dig into that because it's going to be a real big hot topic issue going into the legislative session. And closed circuit transmission to all of you who financially support us. I'm going to be doing a vision casting meeting here soon. I don't know if I'm going to do it by Zoom meeting or webinar. I'll probably have to do it by webinar because I do anticipate we will have quite a number of folks that want to attend that. So do keep an eye on your text messages and your inbox. I'll be talking to you about that soon. So guys, what's going on? Let's get right into the news. I have been sequestered, by the way, to my wife's office. I've got folks working out diligently in the Tennessee Conservative headquarters, otherwise known as my office attached to the garage, where we're trying to get dedicated internet. So when I do things like this, if the kids are watching Looney Tunes in here and streaming them, and my wife is watching Frasier, I can still do this without it being interrupted in the upload or the download. So yeah, I'll have to change the location up. Keeps you on your toes. So here we go. Will of the people denied. Rick Scott loses bid for Senate Majority Leader despite broad public support and endorsements from several fellow senators, representatives, and other prominent figures. Rick Scott of Florida has lost the election for Majority Leader in the first round of voting conducted by a controversial secret ballot, which I don't agree with. We shouldn't have these kinds of things going on. Scott dropped out from the race after supposedly only advancing to the second round by 2 votes to Senator John Cornyn of Texas. So Scott won 13 votes, Cornyn won 15, thereby ensuring Scott's elimination the second round. Again, secret, so who knows. John Thune of North Dakota edged out Cornyn with a reportedly final vote count of 29 to 24. So guys, the good news is this, in my opinion. Number one, hats off to Bill Hagerty, who had the courage to come out immediately and say, hey, I'm supporting Rick Scott. I've listened to constituents. And even though the leaked list showed that Marsha Blackburn intended to support John Thune, when Tennesseans said, hey, listen, that's not our pick, she changed her vote. Thanks to you, thanks to the phone calls, the folks that showed up to her office. And hats off to Marsha Blackburn, and here's why. It's one thing when a politician agrees with you initially. It is quite another when they were going to go one direction, but they changed direction because of feedback. We need more of that in all levels of government. For example, if Bill Lee listened to the people about his school choice bill, it wouldn't look anything like what this one looks like. Not at all. But instead, they try to ram an agenda through the House. They try to ram agendas through government without ever consulting you and lying to you all along the way about what's in the bills and what all it's going to do. And so we need more honesty, transparency, and a willingness from our elected representatives to actually listen to the people. Next story, Violent gang of illegal aliens reemerges in Tennessee. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has issued a warning regarding a violent gang of illegal aliens from Venezuela that has reappeared in the state. TBI Director David Rausch explained that the Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua has been observed in several of the state's larger cities. The gang is made up of primarily individuals who are known for criminal activity, including human trafficking, extortion, and cold-blooded murder. Rush said, the TBI dude, they are very violent. They are here in numbers as well. And so the thing about this is, we wouldn't have it if Republican leadership had simply passed the bills that have been put in committee over and over again to stop illegal immigration, which is, as I have said repeatedly, cutting off the jobs. We've got to have E-Verify for employment, cutting off the welfare benefits. I've gotten emails and text messages from police officers that work in these benefits offices. They say that 19 times out of 20 folks get the benefits. Number 3, we need to stop the taxpayer funding of education and define what it means to be a Tennessee resident, which is not an illegal alien. And number 4, we need to penalize companies, and big ones as big as Delta and Greyhound and as small as individual carriers, and make it criminal to mass transport illegal aliens into Tennessee. Now, I am doing a series, an investigative series on illegal immigration in Tennessee leading up to the legislative session, and there are lawmakers who are bringing bills. But what I have heard, almost without any dissent from every conservative member, and there are quite a few conservatives when you add them all up together, as a percentage, not that much, but you know, a diverse smattering of conservatives in the Senate and the House in Tennessee. They all have one uniform message. Here it is. People are afraid of leadership. People don't want to bring these bills because they're afraid of leadership. Yet leadership says on their tweets, Jeremy Faison says this, Jason Zachary says this, that leadership never tells people how to vote in committee. Boy, there's a bald-faced lie. I mean, if you'll say that, what else will you lie to Tennesseans about? So hopefully in this session, folks will do 2 things. What Trump's doing. If he's going to go so far as to mass deport illegal aliens, I think Tennesseans can at least expect their legislature to cut off all these magnets, right? If he's willing to lead the way. And number 2, they need to do what Marsha Blackburn did, and that is listen. Put the old listening ears on, and when your constituents are complaining about something for 4 years in a row and legislation keeps being brought, that you pass it. And I hope that we see some things passed with this legislation, but you know what? I am going to do everything I can to hang these votes around these rhinos' necks in the primary if they vote for these pro-illegal immigration policies, or if they try to kill these conservative pieces of legislation. Because let me tell you this, the number 1 most effective wedge issue in a primary that works the best for a challenger is to go up against somebody that has a terrible record on illegal immigration. It's worth $200,000. And so I'm hopeful that if things will pass, and if not, we'll try to run the ones out of office that are blocking things and obstructing things and are failing to listen to Tennesseans. Next story. Tennessee state senator calls out liberal judge for unleashing dangerous criminals on the public. Senator Brent Taylor, who, by the way, is doing a freaking fantastic job of calling these liberal DAs on the carpet. I mean, just doing a great job. And Brent, closed circuit transmission to you. You got to hit them 3 times as hard as they hit you. You got to hit them all the time. That is what I have found to be effective. Unfortunately, it's not what I wish was effective. I wish you could do what people often tell me to do, which is work behind the scenes, Brandon. Temper your language, Brandon. That never seems to be effective. I've been doing this for 20 some odd years in politics. I've ran 13 races or been intimately involved in them, and I have won all of those, knock on wood. And I'm telling you, being assertive and telling the truth and talking about policy and pointing to outcomes is the only way to get things done. And public embarrassment is a great panacea for many political problem. And I hope Brent Taylor continues to embarrass these liberal DAs who are endangering Tennessee residents and who have blood on their hands for letting these criminals out. Here's the story. Senator Brent Taylor is calling out a Shelby County judge for releasing yet another dangerous criminal back into the streets of Memphis, despite opposition from the district attorney. Terese Ernest, I guess, I don't know how you pronounce this. There's some weird names out there, is charged with attempted second-degree murder, employment of a firearm, reckless endangerment, and vandalism in connection with a shooting outside of the FedEx World Hub in October 30th. Ernest was identified as the shooter and was originally jailed with a $200,000 bond, but he was later released on his own reconnaissance, meaning he was allowed to leave jail freely without posting bail. Wow, that is amazing. District Attorney Steve Mulroy says he's opposed to the decision made by General Session Court Judge Bill Anderson. Bill Anderson. What kind of... This guy, where did you get this guy? What kind of rock was he dragged out from underneath? How little concern does he have for the citizens and residents of Memphis? You should call his office morning, noon, and night and say, hey, listen, bud, whose side are you on here? Dude, I love this. Senator Taylor called Judge Anderson out in a head up ass alert on X, stating that this is getting out of hand. Head up ass alert. I'm going to borrow that from... Now, listen, I'll give you credit the first time, Brent, but I'm going to borrow that. Here I am trying to make Memphis matter and get a grip on crime, and we have this sad excuse for a judge releasing dangerous criminals on our streets. I suppose we shouldn't be surprised he's done it again. So be looking forward to other head up ass alerts from Senator Brent Taylor. Keep them coming. Next story. Guys, here's the story. We need some money. These past 2 months, as I've said previously, have been rough for our organization because Trump's campaign and all these federal races sucked all the fundraising oxygen out of the state. And we basically have just enough to operate at the Tennessee Conservative. A lot of the bigger things, the more ambitious things that we want to do, like sending Adelia to Nashville and actually growing our subscriber base through acquisition methods, ain't ever going to happen if folks don't send us some larger checks. I'm not kidding. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. And so while we all got caught up in supporting federal candidates, I know that I did it as well, it is time to now come back home and focus on the volunteer state. So please do send your checks to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377, P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377, or go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support, TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. If you give $50 or more, or if you give a recurring donation, which is what we really desperately need, a monthly donation. We're about to start a Founders Club of monthly donors. It is the only way forward for this publication moving forward, and so I hope that you'll consider doing that. I had a supporter call in today out of the blue, and he just said, I would like to give you some money to send Adelia to Nashville, and oh, by the way, I've got this really expensive camera I want to give you, and a tripod and a bunch of other stuff. I talked to him for about 30 minutes. Thank you very much. You know who you are. I'm not going to publicly say anything about it because I don't know if that would be kosher with you or not. But I mean, that's the kind of supporters we have. And so if you have that in your heart, if that's the kind of person you are as well, if you want to see conservatism work, get involved. You know, I say this everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. That conservatives are very generous when it comes to nonprofits in their church. But for some reason, we think if we never invest any time or money in anything practical, that somehow magically state government is going to improve because we want it to. And buddy, it doesn't. And so one of the chief things we can do is to really have a very super strong Tennessee conservative publication with lots of ears and eyeballs, so that when Republican leadership wants to tell you one thing and then do another, we can get the word out and tell folks if it is true or if it isn't. I pat them on the back when they do good things, but boy, I put them through the ringer when they don't. And more times than not, they're more aligned with the left-leaning corporations than the conservative primary voters, and it's just a fact of life. And so the biggest deterrent for bad legislation for our state turning blue is to support conservative media and conservative candidates and causes. So please do go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support, P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee 37377. We need the money. Okay, guys. Clarksville school employees watched while middle school student was choked on a bus by a high schooler. It's the kind of thing that makes you really want to send your kids to government school. As a result of the attack, the 12-year-old boy suffered several strokes. Jeez Louise. Underwent 2 surgeries. And at this time, is unable to walk, talk, or eat. According to the boy's mother, the 2 adults present, the driver of the school bus and the school bus aide, not only failed to intervene when a 16-year-old high school student placed her son in a chokehold, but also made no report of the attack to school authorities after the incident took place. Lord, might as well send your kid to a prison. During the attack, the boy did not fight back, but the attacker kept choking him as his 15-year-old sister rushed in onto the bus to help him. Camera footage of the incident captured on one of the school employees saying, "Tap out, man," instead of coming to the boy's aid. Tap out, man. I'd like to know who the cowards are that drove this bus. In the days following the incident, the boy began experiencing headaches and mobility issues. 9 days after the attack, he started vomiting and was unable to stand. He was then rushed to the emergency room at the Children's Hospital in Vanderbilt, where he was found that blood clots had caused him to have multiple strokes. I think they should sue the hell out of the school district. He had to undergo emergency surgery for tube placement to relieve swelling. And the rest of it is much the same. It's just a bad medical. I hope this guy can recover from it. Wow. They're going to have to go to a stroke rehabilitation facility. The attack is being investigated by multiple agencies, including the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. Now, there's a real winner. I'm sure they will, put the cape on and come out to the rescue. Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and CMCSS. The state of government education just keeps on getting better in Tennessee. Next story, foreign investors object to state law forbidding their ownership of land in Tennessee. Yes, of course they do. Just like illegal aliens object to the building of a wall, and so do Democrats. And apparently, in many cases, to stop illegal immigration, Republican leadership in Tennessee. According to the law, a foreign party or foreign party-controlled business from a country sanctioned by the United States government must divest ownership of any agricultural land in Tennessee on or after January 1st, 2025. If they do not, they can be charged with a Class A misdemeanor punishable by a fine of $1,500 or serving up to 11 months and 29 days or both. Walton, Tennessee, called a shell company by Representative Jason Zachary, is suing the state on behalf of 3 of its investors, United States citizens who live in Shanghai, an Italian citizen residing in Hong Kong, and a United States citizen in South Carolina. The law passed earlier this year prohibits countries subject to the international traffic in arms regulations from owning Tennessee land. This includes residents of China, Iran, and North Korea. The plaintiffs in the suit in Walton, Tennessee have ownership interests in more than 1,200 acres across the state and stand to lose their land without compensation if they do not divest by the beginning of the year. According to the arguments, they stand to lose more than $100 million if the state takes the land. Walton, Tennessee owns apparently 500 acres in Loudoun County, etc. Loudoun County Mayor Buddy Bradshaw has expressed concern that the sizable piece of property is in proximity to Oak Ridge National Laboratory, while Zachary pointed out that ownership by foreign entities means less land for Tennesseans to farm. Next story. Initiative permanently banning Tennessee statewide property tax anticipated for upcoming legislative session. Depending on the fortitude of this year's General Assembly, Tennessee could see a ballot initiative in 2026 proposing a constitutional amendment forbidding the levying of statewide property tax ever again. Guys, closed circuit transmission to those of you who are going to try to get this on the ballot. Make sure that when people read it, it is so clearly explained, people know what it is. Often folks put these ballot measures on, and you can't even tell what they're about. Often I think that's the point. But let's make this clear so that folks know that it's a good thing. Since 1949, Tennessee has not utilized the state property tax, instead relying on sales tax for its primary income, but certain language in the Tennessee Constitution could allow for its reinstatement via just one bill should the legislature ever desire to reverse course. This new amendment would stop that. Toward the end of the year, last year's legislative session, the Tennessee Senate and House passed a joint resolution which lays the foundation for creating the amendment. So let's hope something happens with that. Oh, this is a good story. More good government school news. Dirty Pop Party dance group reappears in another Tennessee school under a new name. Last year, the Tennessee Conservative reported that a New York-based dance crew, J-Line, took time out of their Dirty Pop Party tour to perform at an elementary school in Lebanon, Tennessee. Who are the boneheads that bring this stuff into schools? I mean, it just seems like the administration is populated by left-wing communists all across Tennessee government schools. James Lynon, accompanied by his backup dancers, appeared at Sam Houston Elementary School. I'm sure that Sam Houston would approve of this. In April of 2023, under the name Vital Dance Crew, to perform songs that left some of the children watching uncomfortable, and parents later said that their children came home saying that the dance moves were inappropriate. Sources now tell us that this gang they got the band back together. They've rebranded the school assembly arm of the business and recently performed at Putnam County School under the name Echo Dance Team. If you got kids, grandkids, you know people in Putnam County, I'd like to hear some details on this. This is funny. Parents and students of Upperman Middle School in Baxter, Tennessee tell a similar tale of children coming home, watching performances, calling it weird, and have had no prior knowledge of the event. Children told the parents that the dancers used inappropriate dance moves, etc. So all this is supposed to be like to help people anti-bully. Probably should have had these folks in Clarksville with the choking incident. Maybe they could have danced around and that would have soothed the savage beast inside that 16-year-old. Echo Dance Team, anti-bullying, and kindness message, but parents say there was no mention of the event in the newsletter or any other kind of channel which the school usually communicates. However, last year's anti-bullying speaker was promoted extensively. Parents have asked why the group can come to the school and sing songs that mock Jesus in the lyrics, but someone from a church would not be allowed to speak because it's government schools and they're corrupt. Here's a bonus story. Conservative Tennesseans believe that state GOP leadership was worsened illegal immigrations, but paid poll service creates skewed results. This is what happened. So often on Twitter, we will just post these polls. Leadership will say, we're doing such a good job. We're doing the best job ever. You couldn't do a better job, which is all BS in many cases. And so we'll run this poll just asking the question, and invariably people are like, no, you're not doing a good job. No, this is not what we want. No, it's not good. And so I posted on X saying, Jeremy Faison says TN GOP leadership has been great on preventing illegal immigration in Tennessee, which is something I have polled 15 different ways, multiple surveys, directly to the list, online. I've seen it, right? I've done polling for 20-something years. And I know what the results are going to be before I do the poll. Just about. I mean, because I have got a freaking direct line to conservatives and primary voters in Tennessee because I hear from them morning, noon, and night. I'm a tuning fork for them. And I put Jeremy Faison says TN GOP leadership has been great at preventing illegal immigration in Tennessee. But I want to hear what you think after reading the article in the comments detailing votes taken by leadership over the last 4 years, which is our illegal immigration timeline article. If you haven't ever read it, just type in Tennessee illegal immigration timeline into Google. It'll blow your hair back. What's your opinion? So essentially what it looks like, when the poll first started out, everybody was saying, no, it's not very good. And the reason they say, no, it's not very good is because people can look around in Tennessee and see rampant illegal aliens all over the place, in schools, everywhere you look, right? You go to shop. It doesn't make a difference. Like, you can see it. And people see it in the welfare offices. People see it with EBT cards in the grocery stores. People just see it. They know it's happening. And so as the results began accumulating, 95 to 99% of respondents were saying they've made it worse. Then suddenly, during the dark of night, somebody played somebody to start sending fake votes, like bot votes, which you can do, right? There are services that send fake bot votes. People do it in politics all the time to skew polls. I'm sure it's done every time and was done every time when there was a Trump poll or something posted somewhere, because the liberal media will then say, look at the poll, and then people go to the polls, and it's a completely different story, right? We've seen this every presidential election. And so what happened is the Twitter poll, they hated the results. It had 1,626 views and 1,251 votes, which means 77% of people that even saw the thing voted, and then they started voting how awesome they were doing. And so, as I mentioned, if you're going to cheat, Jeremy Faison, if you or Ward Baker or whoever it is that's doing this crap is going to go try this monkey business, you better cover your tracks better. Like, you got to drive traffic to the site. Here's how you cheat, okay? Ward, you writing down some notes? Jeremy, take out your pen and your piece of paper. Let me tell you how to cheat better. Here's how you cheat better. You got to send views, and then you got to send votes, but you can't just send votes, because if you just send votes, people know you're cheating. So it ain't just the Democrats cheating in the voting in Tennessee. Apparently, it's Republican leadership as well. So put that in your hat and smoke it as if I wouldn't catch it. Guys, what am I doing this weekend? Well, I got somebody coming over to the house tonight that may be running for a major office. I cannot say what it is. And we are going to talk about their campaign's viability and see what can be done. Hopefully it's all ahead full. But if not, we'll still have a nice dinner and hang out. And they are very pleasant people, and I'm excited to have them over. I've known them for a long time. And what else we got? I got a birthday party for my, I call her my god niece, I guess, Andy. And so I'm going to Andy's party at 2 o'clock on Saturday. It's going to be a good time. I got to pick up a telescope on Saturday. Hey, what is it? Tonight, I think the supermoon, the Beaver supermoon. I don't know if I may be making this up, but I could have swore I saw that online. So I enjoy it. We're out here in this big, huge, beautiful bowl of trees out in the woods. And when it's dark, you can just, the stars are a canopy up here. Would, probably be better if we were a little further away from Chattanooga. But it's just beautiful. So a friend of mine had a huge telescope just sitting in his vestibule. And he said he was selling it, and said how much. And I was like, all right, I'll take that thing. And so we're going to see if we can see the supermoon tonight, hopefully. And what else? Going on this weekend. Sunday, I'm going to try to go to church Saturday night. And then Sunday, I feel like we've got something, but I can't remember what it is. Something's going on. I wish that nothing was going on, but I think something's going on. So it's been a good week. It's been a hectic week. It went by very fast. But guys, keep your eyes and ears open. For those of you who give financially, we're going to have a vision casting meeting. I'm going to have to do it virtually because there's no way I can get all y'all together. And most people like me have a hard time traveling. And so we're going to do a virtual vision casting meeting. If you don't give, if you've never given, you're not going to get an invitation. But if you have, keep your eyes and ears open for that. I'll be sending that out shortly because it is sneaking up on me. The general session is sneaking up on me. And if I don't get active and if I don't get involved, we're not going to be able to make as big of an impact in the legislative session as what I would hope. And I don't want that to be on my shoulders. The problem is, just simply put, my other business is growing by leaps and bounds, and it makes a lot of money. The Tennessee Conservative is kind of always been stalled and stagnant to a degree. I mean, it's steadily grown, but boy, it's been a hard fight every tier that we've traveled. And so I have to be careful not to let my political interest derail me in my business, because I could do this stuff all day, even though I don't get paid to do it. I love doing it, and it's important work. I believe it is something that God has called me to do. And your prayers, your donations, and everything else encourage me that I am on the right track. And so we're going to have this vision casting meeting, and I'm going to talk to you about what I see the future of the Tennessee Conservative being. I think it can be bigger. I think it can be better. I'm just going to need some help and some brain power and some power from above to make all this stuff happen. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. What else is going on? That's been about it. We're getting ready for Christmas around here. We started listening to Christmas carols already. I know some of you are like, oh, it's not even Thanksgiving yet. We just needed it this year, I suppose. The kids put gingerbread houses together the other night. Yeah, did a pretty good job of it too. Pretty good job. I hope the ants don't find those things. They'll have a field day. Those black ants get in your house. They're the scourge of country living. What else is going on? I don't know. That's it. I'm just excited again that Trump won and we got the House, and was again disappointed in what happened in the Senate. But, maybe Trump, I'm hopeful that Trump will do what Trump often does, which is a negative thing in many respects, where he goes after people. But I hope that he goes after folks that do not support the mandate that he's been given to do stuff on like illegal immigration, free speech, etc. And I hope if it's stymied and stopped in the Senate, that he endorses other candidates. I've never seen an endorsement carry more weight than Donald Trump's endorsement in an election. And I think if he got involved and campaigned for another candidate in almost any primary federally across the nation, that he could just about beat anybody. And so I'm hoping that those who stand in his way get their pink slips so they can go off to get some job as a lobbyist in the swamp apparatus. We did another story, which I failed to cover, about how the Tennessee Titans Stadium, right? We bailed them out, gave all that corporate welfare that Bo Watson's wife lobbied for, that he then took the money and put in his pocket, which is all, completely no conflict of interest. Now they're running the stories that the tickets have gone up by 10 or 15 times. And now blue-collar Tennesseans, the same ones that paid for the thing to be remodeled, can't afford the seats to even go anymore. So not only have we bailed out with that project millionaires and billionaires, now the people that paid for it can't even go. So it's going to be like millionaires that can even afford to go. Funny how that works. Crony capitalism in good old Tennessee state government. You can't make this stuff up. Guys, thank you so much. I did pack up those cards you sent to Jason Vaughn, and he appreciates that very much. He told me himself. And thank you for everything that you do to make this publication possible, for your generosity, for your prayers, for your thoughts, for your thumbs up, for your comments, for your shares. It helps our social media travel so much further. So when you see this podcast somewhere, if you see this video somewhere, see an article somewhere, if you just repost it, share it, it really helps our money that you give us go a lot further, because the organic traffic is a lot better than the paid traffic. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. This is Brandon Lewis with the Tennessee Conservative, 10 Con Big 7, signing off. I'll talk to you next week. See ya.